I was just wondering because clearly, my relationship didn't work out this time. I was just wondering if you have any advice, like what kind of advice? Because I know your marriage lasted your whole life basically. So
Well, both, except when they both died. I mean,
you can't control that.
no, you gotta be really compatible. You gotta kind of like the same things, and if one does something different, the other person has to kind of go along with it. And I mean, you gotta share your feelings. You share your likes and dislikes, and always don't go to bed mad.
I've heard that before. There's a quote. Someone said that.
Yeah, it's just it's basically if you don't have the same interests, like Lowell and Jake, they don't have the same interests on everything. And Jake's kind of like what Floyd was. He was a man's man,
Okay.
and he enjoyed men things, but he also enjoyed going with family. You have to. It's very sharing each other's feelings and talking about feelings. If you don't like something, tell her why. If she doesn't like something, she should explain why. And I don't know, I don't know. I just always try to see the good in people and give them a chance over and over and over and like when I went to Debbie and Doug, I went to the furthest I could go where psychiatrists wouldn't deal with it. They sent them home to me, and I wasn't. Anyway, I gave in too much. But you have, if it's a split family, you got to get the kids involved. One person has to back up the other person. You can't take sides. You can't let the kids take sides. That's probably, down the road for you, quite a ways down the road. But
do you think it was kind of fair between you and Floyd because he had kids and you had kids? Do you think it's if one person has all the kids and the other person doesn't have kids, is it?
That would be really, yeah. The person that doesn't have kids has got to have a big heart and a lot of patience, and it would be a hard, unless the kids are really capable or of wanting to listen. But in my case, Floyd didn't back me up on the discipline. The kids would try to get by, did things wrong that I maybe ground them or something. And then when Floyd come home, they made it sound like it was all my fault.
He's a very disciplined man to be in the army. So
he wasn't as disciplined as John's or Dan's dad.
Oh, to the kids he was stern.
Yeah.
He laid down the rules.
Yeah, to David and Daniel and Lynn and Lola. He did. He was way too stern.
Oh, it was kind of unhealthy.
Yeah, very. Yeah, all the kids are out in the hot sun, and somebody did something wrong. He threw a knife in the side of the house, told them to stare at that house for 10 minutes, 15 minutes in this hot sun.
Wow, that's why he was in the special forces, huh?
He was way over. And you got to be a parent. You got to be a father. You got to be a mother. You can't just be a disciplinarian. You got to want to play with them and do things with them.
Yeah.
And but now it's probably different. You know, they got the outdoor swimming pools and so much different than it was when I was raising my kids.
I know discipline was more common back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
now
yeah.
it's sharing, getting your life involved in with them and doing things with them and going to their games or like Lola, she went to a lot of stuff with the kids, and I said I felt so bad because I never, Lynn and Lola were both cheerleaders, and I never went to their games or anything because I was always so, anyway, sad and disappointed and stayed home. The backyard is my result of keeping my sanity. My life has been pretty rough. I had polio when I was a kid. I didn't get to do this, and so anyway, my whole life's been a struggle, and that's why I'm still struggling.
Well, we all go through it. I think that's a human experience, right? We're all sent.
I learned that don't ever give up. You always don't ever say you can't do anything until you've tried it a number of times. But if you never tried it and say you can't do it, you know, that's a big downer to me. It's just like I admire you going out there and not knowing anything, knowing nobody, and building a tree house and walking all that way. He's got to be crazy in his head to put up with that. That's a lot of determination, and that's what you got to have to make a goal in life. Is just be determined and don't be afraid to. Don't say you can't do it. And I said I've always, if I couldn't do it one way, I learned how to do it another. There's days where I crawl up the steps on my hands and knees instead of walking up.
Yeah, that's.
But anyway.
I've seen. I was when I was a skateboarder. I've seen my peers, the ones who succeeded, they had broken arms, and they would still do like.
Yeah.
They would still go out and do it. So like.
Yeah, that was a triumph for you to do that and be able to stay on that board going down hills and down railings, and that was hard as low. Now you see some of these track people that don't have legs and they got the big feed tanks where they walk and run.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, but try to be yourself, but still don't change yourself a lot for somebody else. Just try to blend in, and there's a lot to a relationship, and there's a lot of giving and taking.
Yeah.
And so and being able to work together and share some of the things together. A lot of people don't do that, like Connie Garner. She's into the animals, and she doesn't know anything about flowers. And then her husband, he's, Kevin, all he does is make beautiful yards and stuff for people. and so it's.
Do you think after a long time in marriages, it's good for each other to have their own space and world, kind of, to have their own outlets?
Yeah, everybody should have their own space, but to me...
Work together as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have your own hobbies, your own interests, and you got to be a person, you got to build your own, lifestyle yourself besides sharing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. what puzzles me is that I went to hell and high water, sticking up, keeping the family together. Where kids nowadays, they get married, and first thing little thing goes wrong, they want to get a divorce.
Yeah.
And that you got to take those marriage vows very seriously and think about, are you going to be this happy 50 years down the road as I am right now? And are we going to keep it so it stays that way?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure, you're going to have your arguments, and you're going to, everybody has arguments and everybody has fights, and if you didn't, it wouldn't be you wouldn't be human.
Right.
So, I don't know. Just,
They
anyway, whatever you do, keep up the good work and try to find somebody that's really compatible with what you like and share the interests. So
Yeah. Gee, I think people nowadays rush into things too much, and they just do it because for whatever reason, but they don't really think, because they change after just some time, right?
oh sure,
So,
yeah, you don't always know the person you meet 2 years down the road is not maybe going to be exactly that same person.
yeah.
I mean, until you get to know them, you got to know somebody really well in order to their likes, their dislikes, their faults, everything. Before you get married, you got to know all these things and know if you're going to be able to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah.